be upon you, everyone. After watching this video, you'll be familiar with the different types of sentences. And let's start with the overview. Actually, we have four types of sentences. The first one is simple, the second one is compound, and we have complex and compound complex. These are the four types. Okay, let's have an idea about each type of them before going through details. The first one is the simple sentence. Simple sentence means the sentence that has only one independent clause. Only one independent clause. What's the meaning of independent clause? It is the sentence that can stand alone because it has a complete thought. Okay. The independent clause must have a subject, must have a predicate. And when I say predicate, it means the verb. Okay, so here, the simple sentence contains one independent clause. Consider this example. The dog barks. How many subjects? One subject. How many predicate? One predicate. Okay, so here, how many sentences? It's only one with one idea. So it is a simple sentence. Okay, the second kind is compound. What is the meaning of compound? When the word compound comes to your ears, so you have to know that compound means two parts of something. As for grammar here, compound sentence, so it means how many sentences? Yes, two sentences or two independent clauses. Okay, two independent clauses, just separated or joined? Of course, joined. Joined by what? Joined by either a semicolon or a comma and a conjunction. And here we call the conjunctions that connect the compound sentence, so we call them the coordinating conjunctions. The coordinating conjunctions. So here, consider this example. The pirate captain lost the treasure map, but he still found the buried treasure. Right? So here, how many independent clauses that we have? Of course, there are two. How do you know? How many subjects do we have? We have the pirate captain, and this is for the first clause, and we have he for the second clause. So we have two subjects. How many verbs? How many predicates? The first predicate is lost. The second predicate is or verb is found. Right? So we have two subjects, two verbs, two sentences, two independent clauses. So here they are joined by they are joined by is a comma, and one of the coordinating conjunction here is but. Okay, you're going to know the coordinating conjunctions in detail now. Okay, but this is simply the compound sentence. As for the complex sentence, and when you hear the word complex, you have to know that you're going to find a subordinate clause. Subordinate means dependent, and dependent is the opposite of independent. Independent means can stand alone. It is a full sentence. It doesn't need any help. But dependent or subordinate means that they cannot stand alone. Okay? Why they cannot stand alone? Because they don't carry the complete sense. Okay? The complete thought. What do you mean? For example, because I'm thirsty. Can it stand alone? Of course not. Because I am thirsty, huh? What happens? You need something to complete the meaning, right? And this is what I mean by a dependent clause. Okay? The complex sentence here means one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses or subordinate clauses. Okay? Because the soup was too cold, I warmed it in the microwave. Okay, so because the soup was too cold, this is actually the dependent clause. What is the independent clause? I warmed it in the microwave. So we have one dependent and the other one is independent. So it is a complex sentence, right? So one independent clause or one or more dependent clauses. So it can be one dependent clause or two or three and so on. Okay? Let's move to the fourth type, which is the compound complex. Compound complex means compound, okay? So compound means two. You know, compound means two. And compound sentence means two independent clauses. So, look, the first line, two independent clauses. Excellent. What about complex? I told you when this word comes to your ears, so you have to know, you're going to find a dependent clause, a subordinate clause, right? So, that's why we find, or when you read the definition, and one or more dependent clauses. So again, in order not to be confused, compound means two independent clauses. Okay? Complex means dependent clauses. 1, 2, 3, any number. Okay? So, though Michael enjoys watching comedies, so this is subordinate. This is a dependent clause. We have one dependent clause here. He entered the latest spy thriller. Okay, so this is one of the independent clauses. We have another independent clause, which is he enjoyed it very much. They are connected with and the comma. Okay, so we have two independent clauses and one dependent or subordinate clause. That's why we consider this clause, or we consider this sentence, a compound complex sentence. Okay, this is an overview. I'm going to clarify each type in details now. Let's start with the simple sentences. Read this. Simply, Layla studied biology. Right? What is the subject underlined here? Yes, it's Layla. Where is the predicate? Studied. Studied what? Studied biology. Okay? So, this is a simple sentence. Why? Because it has one subject, one verb. Okay? If you want to make it more complicated, I think it's not going to be that easy in all the sentences you're going to deal with. So, if you want to give more information about Layla, so my friend Layla, okay, studied biology in the university. But we still have one subject and one predicate. Okay? One subject. Who is the subject here? Who studied? Who is the doer? My friend Layla. So this is the subject. How many verbs do we have? Studied. That's it. So sometimes you find a very, very, very long sentence. Okay? But it is a simple sentence, because it has one subject and one predicate. You may find many phrases, you may find noun clauses, adverb clauses, you may find many things. Okay, but it is, okay, so simple sentence. My friend Layla and her sister studied biology in the university. So here, How many subjects do we have? You're going to tell me my friend Layla and her sister. Okay, so such subjects are called compound subjects. Okay, so we have two subjects here, or one compound subject. It's one actually, not two, but one compound. Why? Because they are doing the same action, which is the action of studying. So if you have two subjects, but both of them do the same action, have the same verb, so it is a simple sentence. So what about and between my friend and her sister? What about this? Simply, it comes here to connect two subjects together to make it a compound subject. So, my friend Layla and her sister. Okay? What about the verb? How many verbs, how many predicates? Studied. Okay? So then don't get confused between and in the compound sentence to join two independent clauses and here to combine two subjects. Move to this. More complicated. My friend Layla and her sister studied biology in the university and traveled to prepare for their master degree. Okay? It is still one simple sentence, or it is a simple sentence. But this simple sentence with a compound subject and a compound predicate. Okay? Any problems? We have two people. Okay? But they are doing the same things. And you're going to know the difference now between the simple sentence with compound subjects and compound predicates, okay, and that the compound sentence that has two different subjects and two different predicates, two different actions with two different sentences. Okay, so focus now on the simple sentence. So what do you have to know about the simple sentence? Simple sentence has one independent clause. That means one subject and one predicate. You may find a simple sentence with a compound subject and predicate, the verb. Okay? As I have just clarified. Like this. Percy and Otis are on the track. Okay? The track team. Percy and Otis. Two subjects, two different subjects? No, it's one compound subject. Ramona ran to the phone and answered it. So it is, yes, ran and answered. We have two verbs. So compound predicate. Simple? Yes, let's move to the second type, the compound sentences. Marianne loaned me a pencil, but I lost it. Okay, how many independent clauses did we have here? How I know something like this? Okay, look at the verbs first. How many verbs do we have? Figure out the verbs. Yes, loaned, this is verb number 1. Lost, this is verb number 2. Okay, different doers, different subjects. Yes, Maria. Okay, subject number 1. Marianne, I'm sorry. I, subject number 2. So, if you read the first one alone without the second one, so it means that it makes sense. Yes. Try to read it. Marianne loaned me a pencil. Full stop. Do you understand? Yes, it is a complete thought. Okay, put it aside now. Read the second one. I lost it. Yes, grammatically, it's correct. Okay, so I lost it. Yes, it is a complete thought. Put them together. Okay, so we have two independent clauses. They are joined, yes. By what? Look, the red one, a comma and a conjunction, the coordinating conjunction. So we have two independent clauses, two sentences with a coordinating conjunction between them, and this coordinating conjunction preceded by a comma. Consider the second one. I arrived at the office at 9 and my assistant arrived 10 minutes later. Okay? How many subjects? How many verbs first? You have to clarify the verbs first. Okay. Verb number 1, arrived. And when I mean verb, I don't mean the infinitive verbs, the gerunds. No, I don't mean this. Okay? I mean the tense verb. Okay? The verb that gives the sentence the tense. So here, arrived. So which tense? In the past. So this is the main verb of the sentence. I mean the tense verb. So I arrived at the office. So arrived here is the first verb. The second verb. And my assistant arrived. Again, arrived. Okay. Different doers? Yes, different doers. The first one is I. The second doer or the second subject is my assistant. Okay. They're connected with a conjunction, coordinating conjunction, and preceded by a comma. So it is a compound sentence. Any problems so far? No problem so far. Dad is cranky this morning. He hasn't had his coffee yet. Okay? It is a compound sentence. So, what is the coordinating conjunction and the comma? Now here, it's joined by a semicolon. So, can I put a semicolon instead of a comma and a coordinating conjunction? Yes, you can. Any conditions? Yes. The two independent clauses must relate. Okay? You have to find a direct relationship between them in order to be able to put or to insert a semicolon between them. So, Dad is cranky this morning. That's why he hasn't had his coffee yet, or because he hasn't had his coffee yet. Okay, so this is a cause and effect relationship. Okay, that's why I can put the semicolon instead of the coordinating conjunction. Okay. My knees are stiff. Old age just catching up with me. My knees are stiff. Old age, this is a result of the old age that my knees are stiff. Okay, and you can put the semicolon between them. Any problems? No problems, inshallah. What you have to know about the compound sentence: a compound sentence has two or more independent clauses. They are joined by either a comma and a conjunction or a semicolon. One way is a comma and conjunction. The other way is a semicolon. The sky grew dark. Strong winds blew and hard rains pounded the trees at the street. Okay, how many independent clauses that we have here? We have 3 independent clauses. So what we call it? Compound sentence. Compound means 2 or more. Okay, so the sky grew dark. This is number 1. Strong winds blew. This is number 2. And hard rains pounded the street. So what is the subject in the first one? The sky. The verb, grew. Subject in the second one, strong winds. Verb is blue. Third subject, hard rains. Third verb, pounded. Okay, so we have 3 independent clauses. The coordinating conjunctions are, what are the coordinating conjunctions that are used to connect the independent clauses? Or fan, boys. Fan, boys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Okay? My dog Snickers is beautiful and he has gorgeous eyes and looks like he is always smiling. So this is a compound sentence. 2 subjects. The first subject is my dog. The second subject is he. The first predicate is. The second predicate is has. Okay? My dog Snickers is beautiful. Semicolon. He has a gorgeous eyes and looks like he is always smiling. The same, but instead of the comma and the coordinating conjunction, I inserted a semicolon. It's the same. I was snippy with him because I was running late for work. What kind of sentence is that? What type? 2 independent clauses? Is it a compound sentence? No, where is the conjunction? I can't see any conjunctions. Is there a semicolon? No. So it's not a compound sentence. Okay, so it is a simple sentence. Look, I was snippy with him. This is the first one. I was running late for work. No, they are 2 sentences. So it's not one subject and one predicate as in the single or the simple sentence. So what we call such sentences, okay, we call them the complex sentence. The independent clause here, so this sentence contains 2 clauses. The first clause is the independent. First clause is independent. I was snippy with him. The subordinate clause or the dependent clause is because I was running late for work. Okay? An independent clause plus 1 or more subordinate clauses form something called the complex sentence. And this is the third kind or third type of sentences today. The complex sentence. The subordinate clause may appear in the beginning, the middle, or the end of the complex sentence. Okay, so here again, the complex sentence is the sentence that has 1 independent clause, 1 or more dependent clauses or subordinate clauses. Okay, so this is the complex sentence. The subordinate clause may appear in the beginning, the middle, or the end of the complex sentence. Let's see together. Number 1. Because my coffee was too cold, I heated it in the microwave. Okay, so this is in the, beginning. What is the subordinate clause here? Because my coffee was too cold. It comes in the beginning. Okay? When subordinate clause comes in the beginning, so you have to follow it by a comma. Okay? John retired when he was 65. Where is the dependent or the subordinate clause here? When he was 65. It comes at the end. Many people who enjoy sport subscribe to this magazine. Where is the dependent clause? Who enjoys sport? It comes in the middle. The three of them are complex sentences, okay? Because each one of them contain one independent and one or more dependent or subordinate clauses. Clear? Clear. What are the subordinating conjunctions? You have to know that the subordinating conjunctions introduce the subordinate clauses. So how can you say that this clause is subordinate or not? Okay, you have to find the subordinating conjunction. Okay, what are the subordinating conjunctions? We have 50 of them here. After, although, as if, as long as much as soon as, even if, even though, if only, if when, if then, plus now since, now that, now when, and so on till the end. So study them well, please. Compound complex sentences, and this is the fourth kind or type of sentences. Number 1. When the bell rang, the students ran to their seats and the teacher began the session. Let's analyze this together. Okay, when the bell rang, is it dependent or independent? When the bell rang, I think you're waiting for something to complete the meeting, right? Yes, so it is dependent. Yes, excellent. So here we have one dependent. The students ran to their seats. So it is yes, it is an independent clause. What do you say it alone? The students ran to their seats. Does it make sense? Yes, of course, it makes sense. So it is an independent clause. So we have one now dependent and one independent. And, preceded by a comma, the teacher began the session. So is it dependent or independent? Of course, it's independent. Okay? So, how many dependent? 1. How many independent? 2. So, this is a new kind. Okay, so here we have a compound sentence, yes, which is starting from the students ran to their seats and the teacher began the session. So this is a compound sentence, right? Yes, 2 independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction, which is and here. So it is a compound sentence. But we have a dependent clause, which is when the bell rang. So we have 1 dependent and 2 independent. So what we call this? We call it a compound complex sentence. Compound complex sentence. Okay, let's move to the second one. I was sitting in the back of the hall. Is it dependent or independent? Try to say it alone. I was sitting in the back of the hall. Does it make sense? Yes, it makes sense. So it is independent. So I didn't hear. What do you say it alone? It makes sense. Yes, it makes sense. Okay, so I didn't hear. So this is another independent clause. Dependent. What starting from what? What here is a subordinating conjunction. It is a noun clause, by the way. What Dan said is a noun clause. What Dan said about today's meeting. So this is a dependent clause. Okay, so we have two independent and one dependent. So what we call this? We call this a compound complex sentence. A compound complex sentence has two or more independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. Okay, so compound means two independent. Okay, or more, of course. Complex means subordinate or dependent. And you have to find one or at least one dependent clause. Okay? Bismillah. Let's check your understanding. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Write S if the sentence is simple, C for compound, CX for complex sentence, and CC for compound complex. Let's start with the first one. The polio vaccine was developed by Jonas Salk and Albert Sabin. How many tense verbs was? Okay, or was developed or developed. Okay, how many subjects? The polio vaccine. So one subject and one predicate. What we call this? Yes, perfect. It is a simple sentence. Number 2. My little brother Jake got a toy in his breakfast cereal box. Okay, so where is the subject? How many subjects? Look, my little brother Jake. So my little brother Jake. So this is one subject. Jake is the main subject, and my little brother gives further information about Jake, but they are still one subject. My little brother Jake. Okay, so this is one subject. What about the verb got? That's it. Subject, a subject and verb. One subject and one verb. So it is a simple sentence. Perfect. Number 3. We watched the baseball game and we went for ice cream afterward. Very simple. Look, we have a comma and one of the coordinating conjunctions. Okay, so this is one feature of the compound sentence. In the compound sentence, we have to find two subjects and two predicates, right? Where is the first subject? We. Where is the second subject? We. Okay? We mentioned it 2 times. What is the first predicate with the first verb? Watched. What is the second verb? Went. So we have 2 subjects, 2 verbs, comma, a coordinating conjunction. So this is, yes, a compound sentence. Number 4. A red car pulled up to the house and a girl climbed out. Again, it's and, preceded by a comma. How many subjects do we have? The first subject is a red car. Okay, the second subject is a girl. Right? So, what is the first verb? Pulled. What is the second verb? Climbed. So, 2 subjects, 2 verbs, 1 coordinating conjunction in the middle, so it is a compound sentence. Number 5. One of the remotes controlled the stereo and another controlled the television. Again, it's and. Okay. How many subjects? 2 subjects. 1. Okay, it's 1, the first subject. Of the remotes, yes, it's the rest of the subject. Okay, it's a phrase here, a prepositional phrase. Okay, but the main subject is 1. The second subject is another. Okay, The first verb is controlled. The second verb is also controlled. And there is a coordinating conjunction between them. Okay? Controlled here mentioned 2 times. So we have 2 verbs. So it is a compound sentence. Number 6. You can help with the dishes or you can wash the car. We have a coordinating conjunction or preceded by a comma. The first subject, you. The second subject, also you. Excellent. The first verb, help. The second verb, wash. So it is a compound sentence. Until they were called home, the children played happily. Until they were called home. Is it a complete thought? No. So it is, yes, excellent. A dependent clause, subordinate clause. Okay? The children played happily. Try to say it alone. The children played happily. So it works. It makes sense. Right? Yes. So here we have one dependent and one independent. So what we call such sentences? Complex sentence. When we went to the opera, we saw Luciano, but we didn't get to see Placido Domingo. Okay, Italian names, I think. So, when we went to the opera, okay, opera is Oprah Winfrey. I'm sorry, opera. Okay, so this is which clause? Dependent or independent? Of course, it's dependent. Try to say it alone. When we went to the opera. Okay, so this is a dependent clause. So you need something to complete the meaning, right? So this is a dependent clause. Okay, so we have one dependent. Okay, focus please. We saw Luciano. What do you say it alone? So is it dependent or independent? It is independent. Pay attention here. We have but is a coordinating conjunction. It's preceded by a comma, right? Okay. And we have another independent clause. We didn't get to see Placido Domingo. Okay, so we have 2 independent clauses and 1 dependent clause. So what we call this? 2 independent clauses. So it's something related to the word compound, right? 2 independent clauses. So it is, yes, compound complex sentence. Compound complex. Although I didn't brew it long, the coffee tastes bitter and I will not drink it. Although I didn't brew it long. So this is dependent. This is a dependent clause. The coffee tastes bitter. Yes, and I will not drink it. Here we have a compound sentence because we have and preceded by a comma. It's a coordinating conjunction. So we have 2 sentences, right? Compound. Compound what? Because we have a subordinate, so it is a compound complex sentence. 8. As the morning bell rang, the students rushed quickly into the class. Okay, so the students rushed quickly into the class is the independent clause. The dependent clause is as the morning bell rang. So we have one dependent and the other one is independent. Okay, we have one dependent, one. So it's nothing with compound now, okay? So it is complex sentence. Number 9, I've always volunteered at the hospital because I enjoy helping others. I have always volunteered at the hospital. So this is number 1, or this is the first independent clause. This is independent. Because I enjoyed helping others, because it is a dependent clause. So one dependent and the other one is independent. A complex sentence. It is a complex sentence. Number 10. After the election is over, I will call you with results and hopefully our candidate will have won. Okay, so after the election is over, what will happen? So it is a dependent clause. So we have one dependent here. I will call you with results. So this is independent clause. And a coordinating conjunction preceded by a comma and another independent clause. Our candidate will have one. So this is 2 independent and 1 dependent is compound complex sentence. Thank you for watching. See you next video. Thank you so much.